lazy dog? Where's that lazy cat? Where's that lazy mouse? Wait a minute. Hold everything. You can't tell your story right here. This is the end paper. The book hasn't even started yet. Who are you? Will you help me plant the wheat? I'm Jack. I'm the narrator. And no, I will not help you plant the wheat. I'm a very busy guy trying to put a book together. So why don't you just disappear for a few pages? I'll call you when I need you. But who will help me tell my story? Who will help me draw a picture of the wheat? Who will help me spell the wheat? Listen, Hen, forget the wheat. Here comes the title page.
Title page for the Stinky Cheese Man and Other Fairly Stupid Tales.
I know, it's upside down. I meant to do that. Whoever looks at that dedication stuff anyhow. If you want to read it, you can always stand on your head.
Introduction.
A long time ago, people used to tell magical stories of wonder and enchantment. Those stories were called fairy tales. Those stories are not in this book. The stories in this book are almost fairy tales, but not quite. The stories in this book are fairly stupid tales. I mean, what else would you call a story like Goldilocks and the Three Elephants? This girl walking through the woods smells peanut porridge cooking. She decides to break into the elephant's house, eat the porridge, sit in the chairs, and sleep in the beds. But when she gets in the house, she can't climb up on baby elephant's chair because it's too big. She can't climb up on mama elephant's chair because it's much too big. And she can't climb up on papa elephant's chair because it's much, much too big. So she goes home. The end. And if you don't think that's fairly stupid, you should read Little Red Running Shorts. Or maybe The Stinky Cheese Man. In fact, you should definitely go read those stories now, because the rest of this introduction kind of goes on and doesn't really say anything. I stuck it on the end here so it would fill up the page and make it look like I really knew what I was talking about. So, stop now. I mean it. Quit reading. Turn the page. If you read this last sentence, it won't tell you anything.
Jack, Up the Hill Fairy Tale Forest, 1992. Surgeon General's warning. It has been determined that these tales are fairly stupid and probably dangerous to your health. Chicken Licken.
Once upon a time, Chicken Licken was standing around when a piece of something fell on her head. She wasn't the brightest thing on two legs, so she started running around in circles, clucking, "The sky is falling! The sky is falling! We must tell the president!" Chicken Licken ran to her friend Ducky Lucky and clucked, "Ducky Lucky! Ducky Lucky! The sky is falling! The sky is falling! We must tell the president!" Let's go! Chicken Licken and Ducky Lucky ran to their friend Goosey Lucy and yelled, "Goosey Lucy! Goosey Lucy! The sky is falling! The sky is falling! We must tell the president!" Let's go! Chicken Licken, Ducky Lucky, and Goosey Lucy ran to their friend Cocky Locky and yelled, "Cocky Locky! Cocky Locky! The sky is falling! The sky is falling! We must tell the president!" Let's go! Wait a minute! Wait a minute! I forgot the table of contents! I forgot the table of contents! Hey, you're not in this story! I know, but I came to warn you that the table of contents is, "The sky is falling! The sky is falling! We must tell the president!" So Chicken Licken, Ducky Lucky, Goosey Lucy, and Cocky Locky ignored me and ran off to catch a plane to Washington. Just outside the airport, they met Foxy Loxy. Foxy Loxy! Well, come with me. I know a shortcut to the airport. Foxy Loxy led Chicken Licken, Ducky Lucky, Goosey Lucy, and Cocky Locky to his cave. He didn't get to eat them, though, because Chicken Licken was almost right. The sky wasn't falling. The table of contents was. It fell and squashed everybody. The end.
Table of Contents. Chicken Licken. The Princess and the Bowling Ball. The Really Ugly Duckling. The Other Frog Prince. Little Red Running Shorts. Jack's Bean Problem. Cinderella. The Tortoise and the Hare. The Stinky Cheese Man. The Boy Who Cried Cow Patty. The Princess and the Bowling Ball.
Once upon a time there was a prince. And this prince's mom and dad, the king and queen, somehow got into their royal heads that no princess would be good enough for their boy unless she could feel pee through 100 mattresses. So it should come as no surprise that the prince had a very hard time finding a princess. Every time he met a nice girl, his mom and dad would pile 100 mattresses and invite her to sleep over. When the princess would come down for breakfast, the queen would ask, "How did you sleep, dear?" The princess would politely say, "Fine, thank you." And the king would show her the door. And this went on for 3 years. And of course, nobody ever felt the pee under 100 mattresses. Then one day, the prince met the girl of his dreams. He decided he better do something about it. That night, before the princess went to bed, the prince slipped his bowling ball under the 100 mattresses. When the princess came to breakfast the next morning, the queen asked, "How did you sleep, dear?" "This might sound odd, but I think you might need a new mattress. I felt like I was sleeping on a lump as big as a bowling ball." The king and queen were satisfied. The prince and the princess were married, and they all lived happily, though maybe not completely honestly, ever after. The end.
The Really Ugly Duckling.
Once upon a time, there was a mother duck and a father duck who had 7 baby ducklings. 6 of them were regular-looking ducklings. The 7th was a really ugly duckling. Everyone used to say, "What a nice-looking bunch of ducklings." Except that one. "Boy, he's really ugly." The really ugly duckling heard these people, but he didn't care. He knew that someday he would probably grow up to be a swan and be bigger and look better than anything in the pond. Well, as it turned out, he was just a really ugly duckling, and he grew up to be just a really ugly duckling. The end.
The Other Frog Prince.
Once upon a time, there was a frog. One day when he was sitting on his lily pad, he saw a beautiful princess sitting by the pond. He hopped in the water, swam over to her, and poked his head out of the weeds. "Pardon me, oh beautiful princess," he said in his sad, empathetic voice. "I wonder if you can help me." The princess was about to jump and run, but she felt sorry for the frog with the sad and pathetic voice, so she asked, "What can I do to help you, little frog?" "Well, I'm not really a frog, but a handsome prince who was turned into a frog by a wicked witch's spell, and the spell can only be broken by the kiss of a beautiful princess." The princess thought about this for a second, then lifted the frog from the pond and kissed him. "I was just kidding." He jumped back into the pond, and the princess wiped the frog slime off her lips. The end.
Little Red Running Shorts.
Okay, I got things running smoothly now, and this next story is even better than the last 3. See, it's about this girl who runs very fast and always wears red running shorts. See, that's where her name comes from. Get it? So anyway, this girl is running to her granny's house when she meets a wolf. He tricks her into taking the long way while he takes the shortcut. Now, this is the good part of the story because Red runs so fast, she beats the wolf to Granny's house. He knocks on the door, and Red answers it, and guess what she says? "My, what slow feet you have." And that's it. The end. Is that great or what? So anyways, sit back, relax, and enjoy Little Red Running Shorts. And now, like I already said, Little Red Running Shorts. You just told the whole story. We're not going to tell it again. You can't say that. You have to start with once upon a time. No way. You blew it. But you guys are next. Look at the title at the top of the page. Little Red Running Shorts. That's you. Let's go, Wolf. We're out of here. Wait, you can't do this. Your story is supposed to be 3 pages long. What do I do when we turn the page? I planted the wheat. I've watered the wheat. I've harvested the wheat. Now do I get to tell my story? Say, what's going on here? Why is that page blank? Is that my page? Where's that lazy dog? Where's that lazy cat? Where's that lazy mouse? How do they expect me to tell my story by myself? Where's that lazy narrator? Where's that lazy illustrator? Where's that lazy author?
Jack's bean problem.
Forget that, Hen, because now it's time for the best story in the whole book. My story. Because once upon a time, I traded our last cow for 3 magic beans and... Hey, Giant, what are you doing down here? You're wrecking my whole story.
I don't like that story. You always trick me.
That's the best part.
Fee, fi, fum, fooey. I have made my own story.
Great rhyme, Giant. And I'm sure the story is just as good. But there's no room for it, so why don't you climb back up the beanstalk? I'll be up in a few minutes to steal your gold and your singing harp.
I'll grind your bones to make my bread.
I knew you'd understand. And there's another little thing that's been bugging me. Could you please stop talking in uppercase letters? It really messes up the page.
I will tell my story now.
And he did.
Giant story.
The end of the evil stepmother said, I'll huff and snuff and grant you 3 wishes. The beast changed into 7 dwarfs happily ever after, for a spell had been cast by a wicked witch once upon a time. That's your story? You gotta be kidding! That's not a fairly stupid tale, that's an incredibly stupid tale! That's an unbelievably stupid tale! That is the most stupid tale I ever... The giant grabbed me and dragged me to the next page. Jack's story. Once upon a time, there was a giant. He squeezed me and said,
Tell me a better story or I will grind your bones to make my bread, and when you're finished I will grind your bones to make my bread anyway. Ho ho ho.
He laughed an ugly laugh, and I thought, he'll kill me if I do, he'll kill me if I don't. There's only one way out of this. I cleared my throat and then began my story. Once upon a time, there was a giant. He squeezed me and said,
Tell me a better story or I will grind your bones to make my bread, and when you're finished I will grind your bones to make my bread anyway. Ho ho ho.
He laughed an ugly laugh, and I thought, he'll kill me if I do, he'll kill me if I don't. There's only one way out of this. I cleared my throat and began my story. Once upon a time, there was a giant. He squeezed me and said,
Tell me a better story or I will grind your bones to make my bread, and when you're finished I will grind your bones to make my bread anyway. Ho ho ho.
He laughed an ugly laugh. I thought, he'll kill me if I do, he'll kill me if I don't. There's only one way out of this. I cleared my throat and began my story. Once upon a time, there was a giant. He squeezed me and said,
Tell me a better story or I will grind your bones to make my bread, and when you're finished I will grind your bones to make my bread anyway. Ho ho ho.
He laughed an ugly laugh, and I thought, he'll kill me if I do, he'll kill me if I don't. There's only one way out of this. I cleared my throat and then began my story. Once upon a time, there was a giant.
Cinderrumpelstiltskin, or the girl who really blew it.
Once upon a time, there was a girl named Cinderella who lived with her wicked stepmother and 2 ugly stepsisters. Not only were these step-relatives wicked and ugly, they also made Cinderella clean the house every day. One day, the local prince announced that he was holding a fabulous ball at his castle. Everyone was invited. The stepmother and the stepsisters all got dressed up to go. But as usual, they made Cinderella clean the house so she didn't have time to get ready. After the stepmother and the stepsisters left for the ball, Cinderella sat down and began to cry. Just then, a little man appeared. Please don't cry. I can help you spin straw into gold. I don't think that will do me much good. I need a fancy dress, glass slippers, and a coach. Would you like to try to guess my name? Said the clever little man. Cinderella looked at him. No, not really. Come on, do you think it's Chester? If you don't have a dress, it doesn't really matter. Oh, just guess my name, any name. I'm not supposed to talk to strangers, said Cinderella. Then she closed the door and left the little man standing outside screaming, Rumpelstiltskin! 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 When the stepmother and stepsisters got home from the ball, Cinderella told them about the strange little man. They still made her clean the house. And meaner still, they changed her name to Cinder Rumpelstiltskin. The end.
The Tortoise and the Hare.
Once upon a time, there was a tortoise who was very slow but very dependable. He would always get where he set out to go. It just took him longer than most people. One day, Rabbit saw Tortoise walking slowly but surely down the road and said, Tortoise, you are so slow. I could probably grow hair faster than you run.
Oh yeah?
Said Tortoise slowly. Yeah. So they decided to race. On the day of the big race, Tortoise and Rabbit lined up at the starting line. Al said, On your mark, get set, grow! Tortoise started to run. Rabbit started to grow his hair. Tortoise ran. Rabbit grew 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 his hair. Tortoise is still running. Rabbit is still growing his hair. Not the end.
The Stinky Cheese Man.
Once upon a time, there was a little old woman and a little old man who lived in a little old house. They were lonely. So the little old lady decided to make a man out of stinky cheese. She gave him a piece of bacon for a mouth and 2 olives for eyes and put him in the oven to cook. When she opened the oven to see if he was done, the smell knocked her back.
Pee-ew! What is that awful smell?
She cried. The Stinky Cheese Man hopped out of the oven and ran out the door calling, Run, run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the Stinky Cheese Man. The little old lady and the little old man sniffed the air.
I'm not really very hungry,
said the little old man.
I'm not really that lonely,
said the little old lady. So they didn't chase after the Stinky Cheese Man. The Stinky Cheese Man ran and ran until he met a cow eating grass in a field. Wow, what's that awful smell? The Stinky Cheese Man said, I've run away from a little old lady and a little old man, and I can run away from you too, I can. Run, run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm a Stinky Cheese Man. The cow gave another sniff and said, I'll bet you can give someone 2 or 3 stomach aches. I think I'll just eat weeds. So the cow didn't chase the Stinky Cheese Man either. The Stinky Cheese Man ran and ran until he met some kids playing outside school.
Gross! What's that nasty smell?
I've run away from a little old lady and a little old man and a cow, and I can run away from you too, I can. Run, run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm a Stinky Cheese Man. A little boy looked up, sniffed the air, and said,
If we catch him, our teacher will probably make us eat him. Let's get out of here.
So the kids didn't chase the Stinky Cheese Man either. By and by, the Stinky Cheese Man came to a river with no bridge. How will I ever cross this river? It's too big to jump, and if I try to swim across, I'll probably fall apart, said you-know-who. Just then, the sly fox, who shows up in a lot of stories like these, poked his head out of the bushes. Why, just hop on my back and I'll carry you across, Stinky Cheese Man. How do I know you won't eat me? Trust me. So the Stinky Cheese Man hopped on the fox's back. The fox swam to the middle of the river and said, Ah, man, what is that funky smell? The fox coughed, gagged, and sneezed, and the Stinky Cheese Man fell off his back and into the river where he fell apart. The end. up here so the giant would think the book was over. The big lug's finally asleep. Now I can sneak out of here. Just turn the page very quietly and that will be the...
I found the wheat! I planted the wheat! I grew the wheat! I harvested the wheat! I ground the wheat! I made the dough! I baked the bread! And did anyone help me? Did anyone save space for my story? So now, who thinks they're gonna help me eat the bread?
Bread. Eat.
The end.
What is this doing here? This is ugly. Who's this ISBN guy? Who will buy this book anyway? Over 50 pages of nonsense and I'm only in 3 of them. Blah, 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 blah.